Okay guys, I'm just going to talk about the tail motors for a moment. This is a tail motor from another heli, actually from the Valkyria 4 #3B. Now, as you can notice, pretty much the same as the MSR tail. There's not much difference except the can is a little bit longer, but essentially it's the same thing. This motor will just gently pull out, or the windings I should say, will pull out. I'll just put that aside and I'll just talk about the inside here. Down the bottom in there is a brass bushing. That basically just holds the windings away from coming through. The magnet's in the bottom here, and it's going to pull the motor into the guts here. So that brass bushing still comes out the bottom here, and that's basically where the windings or the motor will basically sit through in there. Okay, now I'll just put the can aside for a moment. These windings are basically all connected up into these points here. When the end caps come off, if you've still got power applied to it when it hits the dirt, you'll end up burning your brushes pretty badly. I won't show you this one, I'll show you another one. So, as you can see there, it's pretty black. Okay, that's because it's been burnt. Same with these ones, they've been burnt. Right, so they're pretty bad. If your motor's like that and it's been burnt, or the end caps have been burnt like that, it's just time for a new motor. There's not much you're going to be able to do with that. If it's like this, right, and your brush is just basically bent out of shape. See, one brush there and the other brush here, it's actually bent when it came out. So right in that point is where the bend starts, and then it bends again here and finally comes to the end out here, right? So that's the part that I'm talking about. That needs to come back straight across. Now, the way I would do it is I use tweezers and just drag along that until it bends back straight again. You can try to do whatever works for you. Like you might think, oh, if I just bend that now right here, it might actually fix it up. Well, it kind of did. But now you can see the top brush is not quite the same. So the idea is that you need it to come straight across that center line, straight across the center, so that if you were to place your motor straight in there, those brushes would be touching or have pressure against the motor, but they must be just slightly off touching each other. So that one there might just need a little bit more. And then these ones, although these have been burnt as well, also need to come along, and they have to be almost touching through the center here. You don't want them touching, but you want them almost touching and as straight as you can down the center through there, if that makes sense. Alright, now the trick in putting this all back together again is you need to place this in here first. So the way to do it is to start at one edge here, push it against the plastic, and as you can see what's happening when I'm pushing downwards. It's allowing me to put this arm in here. Now if the other washers were a bit longer, you would have been able to see a better result. But you can see the washer, or one of the bits of the washer, are correct across there. And of course on the other side you can see that it's okay there as well. Now once you've got that, you need to hold some pressure on this section. So basically the windings to the cap, as you can see I'm holding pressure with my fingers here. You can't allow this section to fall away. Okay, so as soon as you put it in the can, what it'll want to do is drag this motor winding in. So you get the can and you look down the guts there and you make sure that you're putting it dead center. Be very careful as you place it back in not to nick any of those windings whatsoever. So you have to be really careful. Now you see the motor pulled away from me. Now I might still be able to do it. I have. So I've still got the pressure there, but you see I've blocked it from popping out the other end with my finger on the end there, so the shaft doesn't come through. Then you just need to rotate it until you find the original locating pins or the holes. And then you can let go of the shaft. Now once you've got it into place, now I haven't got the other end in correctly, just give me a moment, there it is, just popped. Okay, it's almost in all the way around. Okay. Now what you're probably best off doing is running some CA down the seam there, but a very little bit. Bending the tabs back over, you're probably not going to be able to manage that without a proper tight crimping tool. Now it is fairly important that you do line up these holes to the original tabs though, because if they're not lined up, you see how I've got this one slightly out from there to there. Okay, what could actually happen now is that the positive and the negative aren't in the exact position, and you might find that this tail motor starts spinning backwards. So if it's not right, pop it back out, unless you can actually turn it, and that's basically how you put your end cap back on. If you're putting CA here, make sure you put it on something like this blade, for argument's sake. You just put a very little bit and just touch it, you know, all the way around, just so that a tiny little bit goes just there to hold it into position. Then use some heat shrink or some tape or whatever and just put it over the edge from there to about here, and that'll hold that end cap into position. And that's pretty much it.